I'm a 42-year-old real estate agent. Life as a father of two and a husband of 15 years has always been a balancing act. My job requires long hours, my kids need my attention, and my wife, well, I thought she was my partner in it all. But I was wrong. So wrong. It started a few months ago, seemingly like any other day. I received an email from the tenant of a small commercial building I owned downtown. This tenant, a kind old man who ran a charming family-owned bookstore, was upset. He said the new owner of the building was pressuring him to renegotiate his lease. New owner? I thought, staring at the screen in disbelief. I hadn't sold the property. There had to be a misunderstanding, right? I quickly called the tenant to clarify. He mentioned having a signed document from the sale, my sale. Confused, I asked him to send me a copy. Moments later, the scan arrived and my stomach dropped. The document was a sales agreement with my name, my signature, and all the legal formalities. It was flawless, except for one glaring issue. I didn't sign it. That evening, I went home with the document in hand. My wife was in the living room folding laundry. She greeted me casually, but her voice had a nervous edge. I wasted no time. "Do you know anything about this?" I asked, holding up the paper. Her hands froze mid-fold. For a moment she just stared at me, her face turning pale. "No," she muttered, not meeting my gaze. But I pressed harder. "Don't lie to me. Did you sell my property?" Finally, after a long, tense silence, she blurted, "I needed the money." Her words were sharp and defensive, as though she were the victim. "Money? For what?" I demanded. "For us," she shot back. "For the kids' tuition, the house, the bills. You never listen when I tell you we're struggling. So, yes, I sold it. For us." Her words hit me like a slap, but what shocked me more was her lack of remorse. "You forged my signature," I said, my voice cold. "Do you even understand what you've done? That's fraud. It's illegal." She crossed her arms, her face defiant. "It's not like you'd miss it. You act like everything is yours. I just wanted what's fair." The next day, I went straight to my lawyer. As I explained the situation, his expression turned grim. Forging my signature to sell property wasn't just unethical, it was criminal. "We have to act fast," he said. "File a case immediately. This sale is fraudulent and we'll need to prove it." That's when I learned how deep this betrayal ran. During the discovery phase, we uncovered damning evidence. Emails between my wife and the buyer, a shady real estate investor. They had been working together to orchestrate the sale. The buyer had even coached her on how to forge my signature. But that wasn't all. My lawyer found another bombshell. Years ago, she had taken out a secret loan in my name. I had unknowingly been paying it off, thinking it was just another household expense. It explained so much: missing funds, unexplained debts. When I confronted her, she admitted it but brushed it off as a one-time mistake. That was the final nail in the coffin. The court case was messy. My wife tried to play the victim, painting me as controlling and selfish. She told anyone who would listen that she had no choice, that I hoarded money and left her to fend for the family. But the evidence was overwhelming. My lawyer presented the forged documents, the emails with the buyer, and the secret loan. Piece by piece, her lies unraveled. The buyer wasn't spared either. Under scrutiny, his story crumbled. He claimed ignorance at first, but the emails proved otherwise. The judge declared the sale void and fined him heavily for his involvement. As for my wife, the verdict was clear: guilty of fraud, forgery, and breach of trust. She was sentenced to community service probation and ordered to repay every penny she had taken from the sale. The fallout was devastating. Friends and family distanced themselves, shocked by her actions. My kids were confused and hurt. One night my son asked me, "Why did Mom do it?" I didn't know how to answer. "Sometimes people make bad choices," I said, "but it's never okay to hurt others in the process." The divorce was inevitable. She fought tooth and nail, demanding the house and alimony. She even filed for custody of the kids, claiming I was obsessed with money and unfit as a father. But her arguments fell apart in court. I had bank statements, testimonies, and even letters from our kids explaining how I had always been there for them. The judge granted me primary custody with strict supervision for her visitation rights. In the end, I got my property back. The bookstore tenant, who had stood by me throughout, thanked me for saving his livelihood, but the satisfaction of justice was bittersweet. My marriage was over, and my kids were left to grapple with the emotional fallout. Still, I learned an invaluable lesson. Trust is fragile, and betrayal can come from the people closest to you. Protecting yourself isn't just about securing your assets, it's about setting an example for your kids about accountability and integrity. If you think this story was wild, just wait until you hear what happened next. My brother tried to sue me over a family heirloom, and trust me, it's even more outrageous. Subscribe to my channel so you don't miss it. You won't believe what happens next.